And I give the call to the member for Kennedy.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to move the amendment as circulated in my name.
You may proceed. The member for Kennedy has the call.
Mr. Speaker, when we come into this place, we take an oath of allegiance to a foreign monarch. I object to taking allegiance, and I've never, ever agreed to give allegiance to a foreign monarch. I say my allegiance is to the sovereignty of the Australian people. When you get on a Qantas aeroplane, like I did yesterday, they said they've got cookies. And it might seem petty and ridiculous, but I said, what's that? Well, you get my point, they were biscuits. You say it doesn't matter, it's silly and it's irrelevant. Well, no, I don't think it is. How do you explain that when Australia is 2 weeks away from being invaded, that our army is in the Libyan desert? What the hell's it doing in the Libyan desert? Or protecting a port that had no ships in it? It's because we were doing what we were told by the big boys overseas. We were not acting in the Australian interest. Now, I don't know of any country on earth, except New Zealand, that has a foreign monarch on their coin. Now, either we grow up and become Australians. The only two countries on earth that have no support levels for agriculture are Australia and New Zealand. And the only other one that reduced dramatically was Canada. Well, you just can't look at that and say the colonial pock marks are flashing neon lights here. Flashing neon lights here. I mean, what other country in the world intends by 2030 to get all of its electricity from China? I mean, what's wrong here? All of our petrol comes from overseas. It doesn't have to. It should all be Australian, but it doesn't. So no matter where you look, you can see the signs that this is a country that really hasn't grown up. And so you say, should Ralph Honor be on our coin? Ralph Honor, the man whose battalion, the 39th, saved Australia from invasion at enormous cost to themselves. 780 went up at Kokoda, and only 128 with roll call 2.5 months later. Should he be on the coin? Or should this person be on the coin? A person who lives in England. But also, I mean, just take a little bit of countenance here. He is on our coin as our monarch. Well, I don't want to be told what to do by some person who got their hereditary. And I constantly quote Diana's brother on how that particular family got on the throne. And I haven't got time to go there today. But, Mr. Speaker, I would like to see on our coins Tubatra. He was the great leader of the Colquhoun, where they held the British intruders at bay for over 20 years. Now, should he be on our coin? A man that fought to stop the intrusion into his country? Should Ralph Honor be on the coin? Or should some little fella from England, as far as I can make out, has never worked in his life, never had a job in his life, never has done anything to recommend him?
Just to remind the member for Kennedy, understanding Orders 88, to not speak disrespectfully about the monarch. The member may continue.
Mr. Speaker, I take your point, and I won't continue down that vein, because it really didn't matter whether it's a lovely and wonderful person in that position or not. I mean, either you believe that all people are born free and equal, or you don't. And if you put a monarch on your coin, it means you don't. Now, every country on earth that I know of has in their constitution that the sovereignty of their people, whether it's France or the United States or wherever, Japan, they all have it in their constitution. We have in our constitution that we should swear our allegiance to a foreign monarch. For those of you who read history books, and I don't want to get carried away with myself, but I did have a moderately best-selling history of Australia. But if you read history books, I mean, you really should have democracy. And the Americans, you know, it's really wonderful that they start off their constitution the way they do.
Has concluded. The question is the amendment moved by the member for Kennedy be agreed to. And I give the call to the Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. While I do agree that the member for Kennedy has a moderately best-selling book of Australian history, the government does not agree with him on this. I have a copy, member, but the government will not be supporting this amendment. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. Would at a future time
the member for Kennedy on a point of order.
Would the government at a future time consider some changes here?
That's not a point of order, but the member is entitled to give a statement, and through the consideration detail he's done that. The Assistant Minister has the call.
The government's view is that this bill is of an administrative nature that reflects the change that has occurred in Australia following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II and the ascension of King Charles III. We think that other discussions could happen in other places, but this bill is purely of an administrative nature. I'd urge all members to support it.
The question is the amendment be agreed to. I'll put the question. All of those opinions say aye. Against no? No. The noes have it. The question now is that this bill be agreed to. I'll put the question. All of those opinions say aye. Aye. Against no? I think the ayes have it. This bill has been agreed to.